So I'm gonna be the emperor. Feel it in the bones.
On my Unrighteous Fire build, this is my league starter, and the build that I pretty much plan on pushing as high as I can in this league, in Heist League, as far as everything that I want to do. So I'm pretty much going to try to do absolutely everything on this build. I'm going to try to push for Elders, I'm going to try to push for as deep as I can go and delve, all those things. I'm gonna try to cover all that and do as much as I can on this build. So what this build basically relies on is I combine Death's Oath and Righteous Fire together in order to deal as much damage over time as I can, and then I added in the new Flame Wall skill and combined that with Essence Drain for single target. So overall, it's been really fun to play. It's got a really relaxing play style since I can just kind of focus on moving around and focus on the map I'm doing, and that kind of allows me a lot of freedom as far as gameplay is concerned. For bosses, I'm feeling very confident in my damage right now. It feels really comfortable. I haven't really been progressing my Atlas yet because I was trying to figure out exactly how I wanted everything to be balanced as far as damage wise and health and mana and all that stuff as far as this mana is concerned. So it took me a little while to do that, so I'm just now getting into my maps. So I'm only I just did my first round of Conquerors, so I have my first 4 stones, and then I need to start going for the next 4. So that'll be my next goal as far as maps. But right now I really want to just finish up and find these last couple maps that I don't have before I really start pushing more for higher tier maps. So right now I am, like, my highest tier map is like 5, so I'll show a showcase of that in a minute. But right now I just want to go through my links real quick, and I'll talk about the skill tree, I'll talk about my Cluster Gills, I'll talk about my Pantheon, I'll talk about everything as far as this build is concerned. So to start with, I'll talk about my helmet. So my helmet cost me 10C. And I was looking for these 2 mods, which is Burning Damage and Socket Gems supported by less duration. So I went with those 2 because I just don't want to do Conk Effect, because I'm not going to be running increased area effect. So I didn't want to go for Conk Effect. It's not really necessary. So that really allowed me to lower the price on this helmet. So I only got it for 10C. Ideally, you would want a Bone Helmet, but if you go for a Bone Helmet, then you're looking more closer to about an Exalt or so. Whereas if you're just looking for these 2 things on any helmet, then it's much easier to find in terms of a price range. It's very cheap. So what I'm looking for, I currently have on it is just Intelligence, Mana, Burning Damage, and then Fire and Cold Resistance. Ideally, you would want some Life on here too, and some other resistances, and I might update the helmet as I keep going. Right now, I'm not really concerned with it because it has everything I need as far as balancing my resistances and all that. So it's fine for now, but ideally would want some life on it as well. So in combination with those 2 links, which is Burning Damage and Less Duration, I'm running Swift Affliction, Righteous Flyer, Arcane Surge, and then Elemental Focus. So Arcane Surge enables Swift Affliction and Less Duration to work. You need it for Righteous Fire itself. Well, currently you just still need it, so those are why those are set up that way. And then Elemental Focus gives you the most damage overall. So the next highest damage overall, I should say. So those are my links. So that gives me my 6 link All Righteous Fire, basically. So that's that helmet setup. As far as my chest, this is just a basic Death's Oath. Right now I have it 5-socketed because I need to go delving in order to get the rest of my stuff, namely meaning my 6 socket item. I need that for my crafting bench. I don't have it yet, so right now I'm on a 5 link. So right now it's Void Manipulation, Swift Affliction, Efficacy, Arcane Surge, Less Duration, and then my last link will be Concentrated Effect. So whenever I get that, I'll have that linked up right now. I need a bunch of jewelers, so I'm working towards that as well. But currently it's just a Death's Oath. It's nothing really special, and right now this is where I got it. I got mine for 1C because I actually just went for the base Death's Oath, and then I periodically updated the links on it and did all of this coloring myself. So all of my sockets and stuff like that is being done by myself. I'm not trying to pay for an actual one, because currently I think a properly colored one is somewhere around 5 exalts, and I just don't feel like paying for that for an item that's this cheap, and for the vast majority of the leagues has been considered very subpar. So I just went with the quick 1C, grabbed it for myself early, and started operating myself. So that's how this is currently set up, and we're pushing towards the 6 link with that. As far as my gloves, this is my Essence Strain setup. So my Essence Strain is set up with Essence Strain, Hex Touch support, Flammability, and Despair. This is how I'm cursing bosses, and it gives me good damage over time. It also allows me to apply Flame Wall's secondary buff, because it does count as a projectile. So I can shoot Essence Strain through my Flame Wall, just like, oh, can I press the white button? That would be great. There we go. Just like that. And that allows me to push my Essence Strain through my Flame Wall to apply that damage that way. As far as my gloves are concerned, we're just running Figulous Silk gloves. I have some life on here, some mana, and then it's resistances, and then I crafted minion damage onto this. So that's the ideal kind of things you're looking for. I wish I had a higher life roll and a higher mana roll, but it is what it is. The energy shield is pretty much useless to me, but I'm not going to complain. These gloves are really, really good for me right now until I find an upgrade. So these are good. I'll keep them where they're at for now. And as I keep progressing in the league, I'll upgrade them as I need to. As far as my boots, this is my Flame Wall setup. So I'm running Flame Wall, burning damage support, efficacy support, and then elemental focus. Technically, concentrated effect will give you the highest total damage as a 4-link, but I just like the way that efficacy works, and allowing Flame Wall to last a little bit longer and the dot from Flame Wall to last a little bit longer feels a little bit better for me personally. That's just my play style, but Conk Effect overall is the highest damage output from this, but I prefer efficacy, so I'm keeping that. As for my boots, they're just their life, their resistances, their movement speed, so that's pretty much ideal. Ideally, I would like to get a little bit, drop that rarity and grab a little bit of mana, but these are perfectly fine for right now. Cold resistance, lightning resistance. I crafted fire and lightning resistance onto them, and then I have 30% movement speed, 84 life. So really good life roll, really happy with it. All I would really look for is some mana, and that would really perfect those. As far as my shield, I'm currently running Vitality, Clarity, and then a Summon Stone Golem. At this point, the Golem is kind of overkill. I have enough life regen and mana regen that it's not even really necessary, but it's just extra. That extra little bit is always nice. Just no reason not to. I suppose you could swap this with a Flame Golem to add a little bit of damage to your auras and to both Death Aura and Righteous Fire, but I just don't think it's necessary. I think you have plenty of damage overall. So I just stuck with the Stone Golem in order to give me that extra life regen. So that's how that's set up. Vitality and Clarity are the only two things I have reserving mana. So it's for mana regen and then life regen. So very, very strong. As far as my shield, it's just resistances, life, and mana. Same thing as you need for the rest of my other gear. So really happy with how this currently is. I crafted some fire resistance on it because it didn't have it. So if I can find maybe a little bit higher rolls on stuff, it would be nice. But right now, this is really set up very, very well as everything is concerned. As far as my shield needs to be. For my ring, I'm currently running one ring, which is just resistances, life, chaos resistance. I crafted some life on here. Ideally, I would like to get mana on this as well, and a higher life roll as well. But for right now, this suits my purposes until I find something better. Yeah, really good resistance railing, good chaos resistance on some. I just crafted some life onto it because I needed it. As far as my other ring, this is my essence worm. I'm running this so I can have level 22 Malevolence, and then I don't, Malevolence won't take up mana for me, which is really important because I'm Mind Over Matter, so I really don't want this to take up all my mana. So instead I'm only using these two to take up mana, and then this allows me to activate this without needing it. So it's just a +2 to stack up gems. As far as my belt, I'm running an Immortal Flesh. I know most people don't use this. It's a very, very cheap item. It only costs me like an alch. But it gives really, really good life regen, really good mana regen, and the only downside is that it takes away some elemental resistances, which was still not that hard to bounce. And I'm still actually overcapped on everything right now, and I even have more in my tree coming. So defense, as you can see right here, I'm clearly overcapped over as well. So I'm pretty happy with this. I went for a little bit higher fire resistance, but everything else completely fine with that. So I actually worked Immortal Flesh into my build. Really happy with it. 100. It's basically right now mine is 122 flat life. So it's a good amount of flat life just to roll on my build overall. So it gives me a nice decent health pool overall. I'm only level 76, so 3k life, 22k mana. It's 5k effective HP, and I'm still scaling life and mana in both of my tree as I keep leveling. So my target goal was only about 4k of both, but I'm probably gonna push a little higher than that. Thinking about it, I might end up somewhere around 4,500 life, and then maybe still hit that 4k mana. So that's what 8k total effective HP. So I'm fine with that. That's really comfortable for me for this type of build. So I'm really happy with that. This was the most expensive item in my build, Zeri's Phobia, 100% flat mana, 20% increased maximum mana, and then a lot of mana regen. Really helps balance out the degen from Righteous Fire with our Mind Over Matter, so really key item to our build. I would say the most important items for our build are Death Oath and Essence Worm. But these two are kind of taste of the week. You can actually run the build without them. I leveled the build without them, and then bought them as I got higher levels, and then added them in and balanced resistances after that. So you can actually perfectly run this build without these two items, but I think these two give you the highest amount because 100 something flat life, 100 something flat mana, fairly easy to get, really comfortable to get, plus the maximum mana regen, really perfect for your build. And the last thing I'm running is my wand. So this is a minion damage wand, convoking wand. You can get these from toxic sewers. You can farm them in there. So I picked one up from there. So I have damage over time multiplier, which is just flat damage over time multiplier, not chaos or fire, specifically damage over time multiplier. Flat mana, and then increased minion damage, and then I rolled extra damage over time onto here. The accuracy is something I could get rid of, but it is what it is for right now. As a self-crafted item, this is really nice for me overall. So this is kind of what you're looking for. You could essentially, if you could drop the accuracy rating, get a +1 to all spell gems, that would make this really optimal. But that would also increase the price. So that's something also like somewhere over like probably an exalt or two, if you're looking at it that way. Whereas I self-crafted this, so this is much easier to roll and get overall. So very cheap. You can just find it yourself. You find Convoking Wands yourself. They're level 72, so you just need to wait till that, and then you can just roll for the modifiers like that. And then on my Convoking Wand, I have Arcane Cloak linked with cast 1 damage taken. I'm keeping these at 16 and 18. I don't feel the need to go much higher, and that's a good amount of. I think that's a good source for damage taken to stay around there, and 62% mana is perfectly fine. And then last thing I'm running is Withering Step. This is my movement skill. I use this to get around all the time. It just maintains Withering stacks, so that increases the damage from your Death Oath. So really beneficial as far as that's concerned. And then it gives you phasing, and then it also gives you elusive, so that's another defensive layer for you in combination with your Mind Over Matter, your life, and your Arcane Cloak. So decent defensive layers from that overall. My Life Flask is immunity to bleeding. Pretty self-explanatory there. Don't like bleeding, not with this build. Too much anti-regen when you're bleeding. You can kind of mitigate it when you're killing things, but you don't want to really have to worry about it, so I cut it off with Bleeding Flask. I'm running an Enduring Eternal Mana Flask. Ideally, you're probably looking for an Eternal Mana Enduring Flask with anti-freeze, but I'm also taking freeze reduction off the trees, so it's not totally necessary, but the Enduring Flask is kind of the ideal what you're aiming for. As far as my flask, I would prefer a Alchemist Flask, or I would prefer a Chemist Quicksilver, but Alchemist works just as well, gives you really good movement speed, just helps you get around quickly. I'm running a Witchfire's Brew, gives you increased damage over time, and a Despair Curse for when you're moving around. Because we don't actually run our curses off of anything but our Hex Blast, and I'm mainly using this for bossing. Everything else seems to just die very comfortably, so I don't really focus on it that much. So for that, I'm just kind of using Despair Cursor and then the increased damage over time from running around and moving stuff. So seems very works very well as far as that's concerned. And then the last flask I use, this is a specific for me, is a Writhing Jar. I'm a Trickster, so if I kill something, I get increased mana regen and life regen. So because the Writhing Jar spawns worms that you can instantly kill with your aura and your RF, it automatically will proc that regeneration for you. So that's why I chose that over any type of defensive flask. I just think this gives you the much greater amount of defense because of how much regeneration it gives you. So I went with that instead. So that covers all my gear and such like that. Heading into my passive tree, you just kind of looking for life, mana, so Blight Siphon, Soul Siphon, you're looking for both of those, damage over time, and then you're looking for some stats, because you do need to hit a target goal for your strength. And what I actually did prior to getting 180 strength, if you can get a little bit of strength on gear, that would be nice. I actually just took Might and then Physique and then threw those on, and then you can unsocket them because the Death's Oath armor itself will give you enough stats to balance that out. So yeah, you're just passing through, picking up damage over time, damage multiplier. So I picked up things like Method of Madness. I picked up a lot of life, so Blood Drinker, Mind Drinker. I picked up increased area damage, so you pick up lethal assault and stuff like that. Projectile damage actually and projectile speed are actually both effective here for essence drain, so I went that way. Resourcefulness is really nice. Flat life, some regeneration, so that's nice overall. I packed up through growth and decay because I wanted the damage over time, and the regeneration of life is really helpful for our build to balance everything. I grabbed Written in Blood, the whole node just for life. Whispers of Doom is very important early, so you can get the double curse on things. So you can apply both flammability and despair to bosses. Really helpful for damage over time. I path through Deep Wisdom for the flat mana and intelligence. Arcane Will is important. Good mana regen, flat mana. Blast Radius for increased area damage. Heart and Soul, mana, essential stuff. Arcane Domain, path through that. Grab Mind Matter. Super early, I grabbed Mind over Matter around 31 because I was looking to run RF at 31 and level with RF from that way. I actually think running RF at about 35 is a little bit better, so that you have your Stone Golem and Vitality and Clarity are a little bit higher leveled up. It's a little bit easier for balancing resistances at that level, and you can also get a little bit better flask to kind of balance it out. Even so, you're basically gonna be leveling. If you're leveling with RF like I did, you kind of end up leveling with a lot of basically you just have to keep hitting your mana flask, because your mana will basically deplete, but your life won't deplete that fast if you're at maxed fire resistance. And I really wanted to get Anointed Flesh. This is why I waited till 35, because Anointed Flesh gives you that one extra element of resistance, and that really becomes beneficial when you're at a low level and you're leveling with RF. So that's 76. The difference between 75 fire resistance to 76 fire resistance in terms of life regen is really, really huge. So I went for that at 35, and that's really the most optimal level to really do RF, I think, from that level. Other than that, the rest of the tree is just picking up as much life as we can, increased area, some damage over time multiplier for fire, and then I picked up Spiritual Aid so that I could maximize that Convoking Wand and minion damage as flat damage overall, because we're really just looking for a lot of damage over time and not specifying into fire damage or chaos damage. We're just looking for as much damage over time as possible, and then we're balancing it that way. And then we picked up a whole bunch of damage over time multiplier from our jewels. So I actually bought both of these jewels. They cost me about a chaos. They were really cheap for some reason, and then I crafted the rest of it because I really only look for blue jewels. I just look for 2 blue jewels with I look for 2 medium cluster jewels with just damage over time multiplier, and then I specifically craft with just exposure therapy as a passive. And then I crafted the fire essence and max life, and then over here I just ended up with all attributes and evasion. So those are the 2 things I am looking for. I went for a 4 socket because I just wanted to get as much points out of that as I can. So I went exposure therapy because the damage over time multiplier and 30% cast resistance against damage over time, which really helps mitigate the damage you take from Death's Oath. So that's really good. So both these jewels are giving you a total of 24% damage over time multiplier, and if you actually want to drop a little bit of health, you can even pick up a little bit more, so that will take you up from 24 to 32. And then for my small jewels, I have a second one of these as well, and I'm getting 2 of these small jewels with increased max life, and then I'm looking for Brush with Death. So what Brush with Death gives us is an extra 1% of life on kill, so that really works well with our build overall. And then the extra 10% damage over time multiplier really helps augment our build as well. So I'm getting 2 of those. I have those set up as well. These also did not cost me that much, but they were a little bit more expensive. I think I spent 5C on both. Just because Brush with Death is a little bit costly on a jewel like this, and then I went for 2. I have my other one is 3, so I'll probably go with that route. I might forgo getting these 2 things and just grab the extra life and nodes in the tier, but I'm thinking about it as I go. Right now, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at, so that's what my jewels are gonna look like. Is this? So I have 2 jewel sockets as far as that's concerned. As far as my Pantheon, I'm currently running Soul of Arcali and Soul of Aberoth to reduce the damage I'm taking, both from RF and Death's Oath. Both of those are damage over time that you would effectively take, so getting the reductions to both of those is really important for me for the build, especially this one. Soul of Aberoth really helps for leveling with RF because it reduces the damage while you're moving, so you get a really good application that way. As far as bandits, I killed both of them. Or killed all of them, I should say. Oak is a pain. Such a pain. Buffed Oak this league was crazy, so killing that was important, but I got past it, so killed all of them. And then as far as our Ascendancy choices, always start with Patient Reaper, grab Prolonged Pain. For Merciless Lab, I grabbed Loop with Arcane for the increased mana regen, and then heading into, when I grabbed my Uber Lab, I picked up Swift Killer. So I just think it's the most beneficial. I mean, Ghost Dance, I guess the Ghost Shroud would be kind of useful, but you don't get the benefit of Ghost Shroud because you aren't going to grab the Energy Shield regen really. So I just kind of went with Swift Killer. If you want to go a more defensive route, you can just pick up Ghost Dance. I guess the extra chance to evade is still somewhat useful, but I just don't think it's necessary, so I didn't go that route. So that pretty much covers everything. I have a tier 5. Yeah, I have a tier 5. So I'm gonna run that and show you guys, and then I am pretty much, that's all I wanted to cover with it. So that's my build, and I will leave the path of building and everything like that in the description below, so you guys can check that out later. So yeah, I'm just gonna head into the map right now and show you guys what to do. This in here. As far as map mods that you kind of want to avoid, anything that reduces your life regeneration and mana regeneration, those are really painful for you. Everything else is not that big of a deal. Nothing else really is gonna affect you in a pretty bad way. Everything else kind of gives you a very easy thing to deal with, but those 2 mods in particular are kind of difficult. You don't have to worry about reflect at all because you're damage over time, so nothing is reflected. New Vitality is really really cool. I like New Vitality. It really lets you take no damage over time, so I don't even mitigate prior to my extra regen. But as you can see, I do really good damage as far as clearing, as far as that. I know this is a little bit lower level of map, but the clear feels really good as far as leveling, so I'm very happy with it. I almost never need to do anything even against like higher peer packs. You just do so much damage over time, you almost never need to pop Arcane Surge, or not Arcane Surge, Essence Drain or Flame Wall, you really don't need to use them as far as just clearing maps or anything like that. Bossing, it's a little bit different. I just pop those. You really only need to pop it like once, and then we have Valor F2. So a lot of, oh my god, this is dropping so many cards for me right now. Very happy. I don't remember which boss is on here. I think it's the I hope it doesn't have phase. I feel like this one has a phase, and it's annoying when there's phases because you kind of instant pop things through phases typically. So I don't want to accidentally pop my. Oh, it's this one. Okay. So yeah, you'll just pop your RF, pop your thing, and then hit it with things. Very, very good damage over time. So, yeah. But that covers everything. So, that's the whole build. That's all I wanted to do. It's pretty late. I'm kind of tired. It's 2 a.m. So, I just wanted to get this done real quick and talk about it. So, I'll catch everybody later. And hope you enjoyed the build. Here we out.